All right, we ready? Everyone's got their tea? All right.
Mm.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Vice Press Open Channel, where we get together to talk about the things we've done, things we've seen, things we've made. I'm your host, Florey. That there is Matt Ferguson. Hi. That there is James Henshaw.
Hi.
And we're back. We're talking about... I think this is
Who are
another
you?
one of these...
Who are you? Did you
I said I'm Florey. I said I was.
Did you?
Yes,
We
you
weren't
bastard.
Yeah,
I was
I'm
going
sorry.
quick. I'm going quick.
James is
I've got somewhere to
preoccupied
be.
now because he's had an email he doesn't like, so he's
Yeah.
preoccupied with that.
I was trying to get
Brain's
James to look at my camera before we went live, and I had to ask him for 4 minutes straight to look at his screen. James, look at me. James wouldn't do it.
Don't worry, we
Emails.
all get shitty emails every day.
Oh yes. Anyway, today's rundown, we've literally not talked about it, but I think we've just got a few like random little films we've seen and bits and bobs, and I'm sure we'll ramble on about random shit.
There's
So-
probably some more questions as well. We seem to be getting them.
James,
there's-
while
there's
you're
a-
not
yeah.
looking at the screen or listening to us, why don't you now start doing that
Yes.
instead of us doing it live and then, what happened last week?
I like
Yeah.
that. I thought that was perfect last week.
Yeah,
I don't listen back to podcasts, but I listened back to this last week's, and
Oh, did you?
I thought it was a good one.
You
There
know
you
what? You know why I think it was a better one, because I trimmed out so much.
Yeah, all the rambling shit. Tell you what, though, we could have spoken more about apes, and I am actually going to be speaking about apes today. So
You know
You know what? I think- I
I hope
just
you're a
think
fan of
before we
monkeys,
dive in-
'cause-
I was going to say, before we dive into something else, I think the thing we could have probably spoke a little bit more about was just open house. And just thanking everybody that we didn't really thank everybody that kind of came and put effort
Yeah,
into
fuck 'em.
attending and things. So I did nearly record a little intro into the pod, and then I just couldn't be asked. But thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for being part of it. All of that.
Look, I think anyone that listens to this understands that
I know it's not.
we often start with an idea. You know what I realized that we didn't do in that was actually say what the event was called. We just started talking about it. We never said it at the start. I said, "Oh, you guys have done your big
thing.
convention," and then you just
The
kept
big thing.
going. Yeah, the big
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah,
Look at
what
this.
was that?
that was.
Look at this. What are you watching there, James? Look at this. Whack.
Oh,
On the desk.
I got a big whopper. I got a big whopper for you.
We can't start here. That's usually the 45-minute breakdown where we start saying weird shit about dicks.
Oh,
It's a razorback.
Oh god. Right. So Glen Powell, he's an actor. I'm sure he might have a bit of a razorback on him.
Netflix movie, which would have been better in a cinema, I think. It was all right until the end.
What was it called,
Hitman, we
Matthew?
are talking
I'm
about
not going to
Hitman.
say what it is.
Right. Yeah, that's helpful.
Yes.
Totally does.
Fuck hell.
What's going
James is
on?
watching our podcast while we're recording it. He's such a fan.
Yeah.
Is that how you get the views up?
There's no questions. There's just people saying nice things.
Oh, that's annoying.
Well,
We'll make some up.
Yeah, we'll make something.
shall I
up.
ask for questions now?
Yeah, ask the
Yeah,
questions
go on.
now.
Let's do this live. Then people can they'll know our schedule then for when we actually record this thing. That's exciting. If you're keen-eared listeners or keen-eyed watchers.
Schedule
Can,
sometimes a Tuesday, sometimes a Wednesday, sometimes.
Yeah, exactly right. So James, you watched Hitman as well? He's a hitman.
Yeah,
What did you
yeah,
think of it?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. How did you feel about it?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Similar to Matt. And what's really interesting about this, so I watched the whole film. I think I texted you guys and I said, really good. Really enjoyed that, apart from the ending. And Matt was like, yeah, exactly the same. It's a very strange ending. Like, it's just...
Probably no spoilers because it's quite new, right? People wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
goes off kilter, doesn't it?
it's very at odds with the with the characters and very at odds with the rest of the event of the film. It's a Richard Linklater film, right? Which I didn't realize, and
That's
it becomes more Richard Linklater at the end. But what I will say about it, so I was feeling ill, so I've got this stinking cold I caught from that idiot.
Yeah.
So it was kind of one of those feeling sorry for myself, so I'll put this on because I don't have to think about it. Matt said it was all right. And that Glen Powell, he's gonna do well, isn't he?
The only thing, but then this doesn't seem to matter for movie stars, is he's got very small legs.
What? What?
When there's
What,
wide
the chicken
shots,
legs,
he's
or-
like a small man. You know, like, I bet you, how tall is he in real
Oh,
life?
like a
I bet he's over
genuine
6'4".
5-footer.
Nah.
Well, it wasn't me that said that. Kate said that. Kate was just like, his legs are small. I was like,
Who's
you know what? You're
the-
right, his legs are small.
Who's the love interest slash sidekick female half of this?
I don't know,
Do we
but
know?
she's good.
Mm.
But she might be a
He's 6
tallie.
foot.
Oh, he said, 5'11". Yeah.
So he's not got. Maybe it was just the outfit. He had like a baggy t-shirt on. It was weird. And there you go. Or
He
maybe
could
he's
have a
not
long
really 6
torso
foot.
though. Could have a long.
Could
torso.
have a long torso. Yeah.
Yeah, could be one of them. They do tend to do that, don't they? Like they add an inch or two to every male, and then take an inch or two off every female's height for Hollywood. It's just something they do. Apparently.
Yeah, they just put some heels on, don't they?
Yeah, some wedges, some Robert Downey Jr. big honking disco shoes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Lifts.
He does some acting in it, doesn't he? I mean, the concept. So for those that don't know, the concept of the story is he's a school teacher, professor thing, and he moonlights for the police doing these entrapment things where they're getting people.
Sting operation.
That's the one.
Oh.
I try and trick them into hiring a hitman so they can do all of that stuff.
And he's
It's
the
dragged
fake
into that.
hitman.
And he's a fake hitman, and he kind of does all of these things where he plays characters and stuff, and some of them are really cheesy and silly. And
what's good is like he could just be the guy. He could just be like, I'm a hitman, but he because he's like a psychology professor, isn't he? He like tailors his hitman to each person. So
Right.
there's
Okay.
lots of like funny different hitmen that he pretends to be. It's good.
But
Have you
then
not
So
watched
knowing, no, I haven't watched it. So knowing nothing
you
about,
fucking idiot.
yeah, no,
Why
because
didn't
you
watch
told
it?
me to, so now I can't do it. Like it's
We're
just
talking
part
about
of
it though. So what the hell?
Yeah, you know.
You'd
do
like
it.
it. I
What's
know
it
you'd
about it?
like it. I know you'd
I
like
will.
it.
I think I'm gonna watch it. I think I'll watch it, but
I'm pretty
just
sure,
haven't had a
like,
chance.
Horn Dog Henshaw, like the female lead as well, no doubt. The romance in it is good because they don't have like romance in films anymore. Like actual, everything's so sort of like PG,
Right.
isn't it?
James,
This is PG, but it's still genuine romance between the two of them, which is good.
No, James, I know you're watching all of our episodes at the moment concurrently, judging by your sound. So go back to the one 2 or 3 weeks ago where Matt said, "Oh, I love they don't have romance in films anymore." I'm sick of it. Like,
I never said that.
You did. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
because
But this
no,
one
we
feels
it was a
genuine, it
different
feels-
kind of film, and you were like, it doesn't require that. It's good. We don't have to do that anymore. It was probably
Yeah.
Apes actually, because Charlton Heston. It does not need to be a mute hot model female in that film.
yeah.
I think it was a bit of that stuff, but
Well, this is a rom-com though. This is like the sort of film you don't get.
No.
Mm.
Well, that
It's
was
a rom-com.
what was interesting about it, wasn't it? Because to me it was I thought it was going to be an action film where they kind of he's a fake hitman, then he gets tricked, and then there's japes around that. But there's not. There's zero action. It is not an action film. There is zero action. It's a rom-com through and through, and it's very good. And going back to what I was saying about old mate Glen Powell, is so there's the silly cat parts that he plays, which are kind of obviously silly in the dress-ups, but there's two parts. There's the Gary character, which is his real him, and then the character Ron that he plays for his for the thing. The switch in between the two of those is phenomenal. The acting between the two of
It's
those
pretty
is-
good. It's not just taking glasses off and slicking his hair back, although that is what he does.
He changes his whole
He
mannerisms.
does changes everything. It's like a sort of Superman, Clark Kent kind of, and he's
Right.
obviously vicariously like living this awesome life through Ron the hitman and his day-to-day life, where he's like a dweeb psychology professor, and it's like which is real. You know, that's what the film's about.
Being
To
the
the point where
marketing
it really
genius,
does become real.
being the marketing geniuses that we all obviously are, would you have not called it Hitman if it's not? Because that to me, like from the outside looking in, I'm like, Hot Boy Glen Powell is a hitman. That's all I thought about it. And to hear that it's not about, well, it is Hot Boy and it's about hitmaning, but he's not a hitman and it's not got action. Like that to me doesn't jibe with what it actually is.
Yeah,
I'd be
the
pushing Richard
marketing's,
Linklater
like
as well.
non-existent for it. Yeah,
Well, true.
I would have gone like more on the duality of the character, something to do with that, because that's what it's really about.
Hit
Call it Hot Boy
slash
Ron.
man. Oh,
The other cop, the rubbish cop, he is great as well. I don't know who that guy is, that ratty guy. the
Jasper.
rat guy. He's brilliant. That bit where he's like sniffing and he's like,
Yeah,
and then he's like, it's very funny. It's very, very funny.
it's a really good film. But no, you're right. I think it's that Netflix trap where they kind of they design the marketing around people scrolling, don't they?
Oh, it's bright red or yellow or something like that, and
yeah.
a big smiley face. You click on it.
But it is really weird that they've not done anything, or at least anything that I've seen around the Linklater aspect of it. And literally, I only knew when its name popped up in the fucking opening credits. I'm like, oh,
It's
You
bizarre.
can
that,
tell
isn't it?
there's like from the off, there's shots that are just like, oh, that's pure like one of his movies.
Yeah, but we're fucking
Just-
dweebs that like know this stuff.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
about
yeah.
like the normals? But then again,
couch
he's not
shots are
a
good.
he's not a like drawer, I guess. So they're not interested in using him.
No.
But don't you at least say from the man what bought you Boyhood or something like that? You know,
School of Rock. I mean, that's like
Yeah.
surely a big Netflix movie, or has been a big Netflix movie.
what else is Richard Linklater discuss? What else has he done? Because he is one of those that is
The Boyhood
low-key.
one, which
Boyhood, which won the
was
Oscar.
like that
Right?
20 years or whatever.
before
then
sunset, after
Before
sunset.
sunset, after
Yeah.
sunset, in the middle of the day. There's three of
What's
them.
his
isn't
like Slacker manifesto one, like back in the day? Didn't
Slacker?
he do?
there?
Is it
Slacker is a
actually
movie
called
by him.
Slacker? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, basically, he invented that whole genre that then Kevin Smith ran with.
It's very low-fi,
But then we-
So
right?
without him, there'd be no Kevin Smith, because Kevin
Yeah.
Smith is very much reacting to Slacker.
Yeah.
And just putting dick
But
jokes.
I think
in it.
we've answered our own question, haven't we, around why they've not put it as a Linklater film? Because
Mhm.
that's not what Netflix are trying to do is drag in the Red Notice crowd.
Yeah.
Drag in that kind of crowd, and stick in a Richard Linklater film. They're going
It'd
to
be
say,
interesting if they put the data out how many people finished it.
That's the
Because
thing.
You go, oh, and then it's kind of like not like that. It's like a slow burn rom com.
Yeah, sucking people into something like have the confidence in the product that you've made. Like, put that out there, and like, who does it benefit for them to get extra people watching a third of a film? Nobody, right?
It's like when they go, we got to get that 18 to 24 demographic, and it's like,
Rubbish.
well, you've made a film for grown-ups, or you've made a film for little kids. Just advertise it what it is. But I think there's less of that going on nowadays. But obviously Netflix are different because it's a whole different model, because it's a little square.
So I had
Yeah.
zero interest watching it until you said, this is very good. It is not. It's a rom-com, not an action. And I'm kind of like, oh, okay, it's something me and Nat can put on Sunday afternoon. And we can
Did not
watch.
like it.
She fell asleep.
Nay.
So yes.
Kate liked it, but the end is just, it's like a turn at the end, which is very strange.
Yeah, it's an odd one. I mean, it doesn't. It's
It
just
doesn't ruin the film, and I
No.
understand the thinking, and I know what the general, what it's about. It's just not what I think
Those
should have.
characters. Yeah.
I tell you
it
what.
just makes you think less of them, you know?
Because there's no point talking about something where we're not talking about it. I'll watch it, and in 2 weeks or something, we'll actually talk about the end of it and see
Okay, sure.
I watched something that neither of you have watched, and I don't know if anyone's watched it. I watched the first Omen, which is the Omen prequel on Disney Plus.
That was quite a hit, wasn't it, in cinemas? I
I
thought it did well.
think so, but also I don't know anyone who's seen or heard of it, and they're not pushing it very hard. It's interesting. You would think, because every single prequel, or most of the sequels as well, to a horror film that's like a classic, they're all fucking terrible. Every Exorcist prequel, I don't know. I feel like there's been
All
10
the
Omen
Poltergeist
prequels,
movies are
even though
shit.
there hasn't. Yeah, exactly. Poltergeist. Any of it. I mean, The Shining they somehow fluked that. I mean, that's a sequel, but with what, Dr. Sleep or whatever, just because that guy is mad skilled. This movie's good? Question mark? Like, it's an interesting one. I hadn't really heard anything about it. I didn't know much about it other than it's a prequel and that people liked it. So I put it on.
Is it like the original Omen? Is it low key 70s, or is it different?
So it is, but it fails only in that it's been made now, because there's someone that sets herself on fire, right? That's got to be CG fire. It's got to be an angle up from the ground where we're all looking at her and everyone's running away. So there's but a lot of it is, it's nuns in a convent, and there's a whole situation going on with like what the priests are up to, right? So I think it stays grounded enough, but then there is still that modern sensibility where they're like, well, we've got to show like claws coming out of stuff and all this.
The original, it could all just be somebody's gone a bit crazy or it's an accident. Yeah. But it all adds up to like, you actually
think that everyone's just like sort of, it's a hysterical sort of reaction to a few weird things that are happening, like, and it builds and builds, and then But
there's a lot of films like that, right? Those kind of earlier 70s, kind of 80s horror films, and I've been watching a few recently. Watched The Shining. There's not much in there that is kind of the creepy, like a lot of it could be psychological and in people's heads, and that makes it more freaky. But there is that
the hedges do not come to life.
Yeah, they don't do anything.
The maze. It's just that they get lost in the maze, because in the book the maze comes alive and swallows them up.
Well, it's like hedge animals walking around and shit.
So
but then there seems to be a modern sensibility now where you've got to throw that stuff in to kind of everything's got to escalate, everything's got to be more, everything's got to be bigger. But I had heard that in fact it was Rob Nevitt that runs Celluloid Screams. I think he was on about how good the first time was.
But I think this is what I don't know if it is good. I think it's
just not as bad as you were expecting.
yeah, exactly right. It's better than anything of its ilk, and it's better than it has any right to be.
Does it have Russell Crowe on a moped?
So this is where I was going with this, right? I think the Pope's Exorcist with one Russell Crowe is better. Which is an insane thing to say, right?
Stupid.
This one was the first Omen. It's really well made. It looks good most of the time. They do some really cool shit. There's a twist in it. Like, it actually gets better as it goes along. I think it dips in the middle like a lot of modern horror films do, when it's just like, we're just peering into hallways and stuff and nothing's really happening. But once you get to what they're doing, it's actually quite good. And it has a great cast. It's got Bill Nighy's in it. He's like the popey kind of guy or whatever. Then there's all these Italian nuns. The main girl's good.
I just went
Yeah, so it's got really good people in it, and it's like, it seems like it should be good, and I liked it. But mate, you put Russell Crowe having a fucking ball doing an Italian accent the whole time and he's just zipping around to spooky places on a moped. That was a movie, man. That's what we need. It needed a bit more. Yeah. It needed a bit more of something. Everyone's very dry.
Russell Crowe's going through his dodgy accent era, and
I love that he just doesn't care. He's like, look, I eat what I want. I'm fine. It's a bit like Marlon late career Marlon Brando, isn't it? It's just like, look, I'll show up and I'll do the stuff, but you're not getting anything extra.
Did you see
I'm not
his-
No,
shaving.
I think he actually does care though. I think he doesn't care to be in shape, obviously, but he's good in that movie. It's like it should be
that's what I mean.
terrible.
Marlon Brando was always good. Like in Superman the movie, he's
True.
awesome, but he just showed up and was like, "I'm working," and then left.
I watched
Well,
that
did
clip
you
the other
see-
day of Christopher Reeve being like, "Yeah, no, he fucking sucks. He shouldn't be that way. He should be." Because, you know, he just rolled in and like grunted at everyone and read his lines off a card and then walked out. Where he's
Yeah,
like,
but
he could be
how-
inspiring more actors and he's Marlon Brando. He should be doing something.
Well,
And
how
Christopher
good is
Reeve was
he
like,
in
I
that
just
movie,
didn't
though?
like him. Yeah, I know. That's
That's fine,
what-
but like when you watch the movie, Jarrell
good.
is incredible. Just
Mm.
wow, you know. So
He just knows. Russell Crowe's of that ilk, though. He just knows how to turn it on. Did you see his comment recently about Marvel movies? And it was a response to Madam Web.
I
It was
did.
brilliant. It was great.
it's just like you knew what you were signing up for. Come on.
yeah, it's funny. I read it out because it's on point.
I think
It's
before you read it, I think the problem there is that the response was to what's her name, Daisy, what's her name in Madam Web, the main
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota
yeah,
Johnson.
that's it.
So she was sort of coming out going like, "Oh, I thought this was really going to be something, blah blah blah," and he sort of said, "Oh, didn't you know what you were signing up for?" The main problem
Yeah.
is, no, she didn't. None
No,
of
she
those
thought it was
women,
MCU.
100%, and none of those women knew that they were in a Sony picture spum, whatever the fuck it's called these days. They had no idea, and that's the main issue.
Yeah, that's. I don't need to read it out. That is a good point. Actually, I'd not thought of it that way. There is an element. Do you think that they were kind
Well,
of
even an
tricked into it?
MCU movie. Let's be honest, it's a genre film.
Hmm.
So he's saying he did one. He did Thor. He knew what he was doing. He just turned
Yeah.
up and had a laugh. And it's just like, well, just enjoy it. It's not like high art. It never meant to be, though. It was never meant to be. It's pop.
It's a job,
Mm.
but I'm going to have fun doing it because it's fun, and I'm going to do the best job I can with what I've got.
It's like any of those sorts of films, though. Like people that have like religious experiences with Star Wars and stuff. It's like it is a kids' movie. At the end of the day, you know.
Yeah. You're right.
And you can be emotionally invested in stuff, but also, you know,
I'm back.
they're all just movies at the end of the day, aren't they?
For kids.
For kids.
So I missed all that because I disconnected from the thing.
I was just saying, even the MCU is like
yeah,
pop
it's
culture. It's fun. It's lighthearted. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it is high art and it's not high art at the same time, but you know,
it can be a bit of everything.
not-
It can be Thor, Love and Thunder, or it can be the Eternals. You know,
you don't have to overthink it. You know?
Bit of fun.
Yeah.
I love them.
And I'll tell you what I'm going
It's
to
the
see at the
same.
cinema in next year. I'm going to see the Pope's Exorcist too, so everyone can get fucked.
Yeah, it's gonna be a mega hit. That are they actually making Pope's Exorcist?
Yeah, he's doing it. Yeah,
What I love is that there's another exorcism movie with him in it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's out, but it's not related.
no.
He just
Yeah.
did 2 exorcist movies, for shits and giggles.
The interesting thing is, I never liked Russell Crowe back in the day. Yes, the Gladiator is good, but he just seemed like he was like right up himself, and probably because we got more of him here, like doing promo and stuff like that. He just always seemed like a prick until about The Good Guys.
Nice Guys?
I would Nice Guys.
Nice guys, yeah.
I would say around then, I think he realized, and I want to say that's when he got divorced or something around then too. I don't know. Maybe he just
He's
sort
just
of
a
was
very
like,
relaxed person.
yeah, he just like chilled out and like stopped worrying about it. And then since then, he's just been like kind of quiet bangers. Like he just, if he's in something, it's going to be decent.
That promo he did for Unhinged is the best
Yeah.
trail for any movie ever. You've seen it?
Yeah.
I haven't watched the film. I remember all the stuff around it though.
Just him. It's just him. No, but the trailer is him, and he's just like there, and he just like just goes through, just like what you're going to get from the movie, and it's just so good, like the way he delivers it, and it's just a stupid revenge movie. It's great.
Have
quite
you
funny.
watched it?
No, I've
No,
watched
I mean
the trailer. The trailer's what's good about it.
But have you seen Unhinged, James?
No. I just seen that.
All
trailer
right,
thing.
next episode we're reviewing Unhinged
We're all
with Russell
unhinged,
Crowe.
and that's the name. That's the name of the
We're
episode.
all
Unhinged.
Okay,
Perfect.
Write
It
it down.
seems Russell Crowe's kind of acceptance of doing these films does seem to have put old Jerry Butler out of a job, though, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to
True.
see
That
them
was his-
team up, to be honest.
Oh, Greenland 2's coming out though.
Is it?
I never
I
watched
think-
the first one.
Very
It's
good.
good. Yeah, Greenland's good.
It is?
Shouldn't be. It should not be because it's one of those 90s disaster movies, and yet it is actually a really good movie.
He just elevates, similar to Russell Crowe. He just everything that he's in, he's just got a thing about him that just makes it more.
Yeah,
Watchable.
he's frustrating. His career is frustrating because I think he has the stuff. He has the twinkle. Like
Yeah.
he reminds me of a movie star of like a bygone era where he's a handsome man, but he's not like perfect. He's not pretty. He's,
No.
you know, but he's got the twinkle and
A burly man, isn't he?
yeah, he's like a proper
big,
proper
hairy
dude.
man.
But then
Dude,
he's in like a film called Plane. Like, come on, mate, do something.
That cop shop. We watched that. That was,
I liked that.
That was fun. It was absolutely ridiculous. Like so
Okay.
stupid. Like the heroine gets like shotgunned in the stomach, and then they just put like some staples on her, and she's all right, and stuff like that. But it was a good movie.
Stupid. He's another one though. Frank Grillo. Frank Grillo films
Yeah.
tend to be. There was one recently that I fucking loved. What was it? Hold on.
One of the he's always in the Purge. He was in a few Purges after Captain America. He was good.
Yeah, he is good.
I want Jerry Butler back big.
Boss level.
I want him to
Boss
have
level.
something.
Mm.
Huh? Don't know. I never heard of it. But I want him back, and I want we need a Darren Aronofsky moment. We need him to be in a good big film because I think he deserves it. Jerry Butler.
Yeah, and I think what I've realised as well is my genre is 80s action films and stupid films that try to be 80s action films. I just love that stuff. Like your Boss Levels, like Shoot 'em Up, like they're just
I just
fun.
like to watch all the movies, good movies. I don't like
Yeah.
bad movies, but there's some bad movies that
That
are
are
so
good.
like bad.
The
they're
Pope's
good.
Exorcist.
There's sometimes it's not about switching your brain off because there's still a hard thing to do to make a film. They're not like subpar. It's just I don't know. Sometimes it's just good to have a bit of fun with a
Schlock
film.
can be purposeful. Like, look at all this every John Carpenter film. Like for them, it's not supposed to be the best thing ever. I mean, The Thing is the best thing ever, but a lot of them are real low budge. They moved quickly on those things. You could have done another couple of takes, but the fake body with the worms in it already fell apart. So we're just going with it. That's it.
I like what Martin Scorsese had to say about John Carpenter.
And what did he have to
had
say?
some very positive things.
I like
How
him a
good
lot.
Do it in the voice.
Good at framing. I can't do Martin Scorsese's voice. Good at framing stuff, obviously, because he is the best director ever for composition. Don't care what anyone says. It's like instinctual for him, the way the shots look. But also just talking about They Live and how it's really good and how he just loves it and he really likes the elongated fight. And it's like, that's nice,
He
Marty.
gets
You
it.
should be like that. You should be like that about a lot more films as well, I think.
Now, did you see the opposite when they asked John Carpenter on the set of Halloween what he thought about
he hates them all.
Spielberg, Scorsese, like all of them? He's just like,
He's just like,
they're all
fuck those
shit.
guys.
I like Jaws, but everything else is garbage. And I'm like, this is the one thing that I've seen, and I wouldn't put it past John Carpenter to say all that because he's being a smart-ass contrarian, because
He's
he
just
is
been a
one.
prick, yeah.
Yeah. Because there's no way that you can say, because he specifically says, like, the interviewer goes, oh, what about Close Encounters? That's a sci-fi.
No, it's
you
crap.
didn't-" And he's like, no, garbage. And I'm like, there's no, you just can't say that. You can say you didn't like it, but you cannot say that Close Encounters is bad. I'm sorry.
No.
One of the
Well,
greatest
that's
films
just-
ever made.
Just brilliant. That's just John Carpenter for you,
It
isn't it?
is.
He's awesome.
It is.
We have on that topic. We've had a question on the tweeters.
We've had one.
This
Okay,
one's
go for
from Stephen.
What, just
I think-
now? Because I did a tweet.
Yeah, because he did a
Wow.
tweet. This
Ooh.
the power of Matt's socials.
The power of Matt compels you.
I think we've answered this before, but it's relevant and we can kind of go over it again. What's the one film that needs a modern remake, in your opinion?
Ooh.
Now,
Them. I could go for Them. That'd be a good one.
okay.
What's that, big ants?
That's giant ants, yeah.
Ants? Ants in my pants.
But just do it like Godzilla -1, so set it in the 50s. But just do it like, that'd be cool. Because Them is like the American, or one of the American, like Godzilla-style movies, because it's all radiation, made the ants giant.
Yeah.
That sort of film needs to come back more.
For me, it's like there's loads. When you watch a film, you think the premise of this is really good. It's just really
Exactly.
badly executed.
Exactly.
It's kind of like that stuff like Back to the Future. It doesn't need a remake. You can easily kind of do sequels or stuff and things like that, but it doesn't need to be remade. Last Jedi. Oh no, I'm joking. I really like Last Jedi.
You just reminded me, we were talking about that, about Back to the Future, because obviously if they remade it now, he'd be going back to his parents' high school in the mid-90s.
Get Out.
He would. 30 years ago.
Jesus Christ.
James,
30 years that he goes back.
can you turn him off? Is there a way you can turn him? I don't want to hear any of that. That's disgusting talk. Shouldn't be allowed.
Mid-90s, man. So,
God.
what?
And we're probably the age that Doc Brown was supposed to be. Like, that's fucked as well.
Totally. He's like in his 40s. But anyway, and he's an old man. Yeah, you're right. It's films that are a good idea, but weren't necessarily executed well. Like Highlander, I could see that.
Oh, yeah.
A great remake.
Well,
That'd be good.
this is Hollywood. I think we've said this before. But they learned, as per usual, they learn the wrong lesson from successes and failures, right? So I don't know what the first big, probably a horror thing that they remade and it went massive. Usually the case, but they were like, great. Probably like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That remake was good, right? And it was huge at the time. So they all went, right, we're going to remake all the good horror films. It's like, no. That was a fluke. You're actually supposed to remake the bad ones that had good premises, just as James said. And instead they fucking didn't do that. And every remake is a good film.
Or there's always the option of a classic film and updating it for a modern age and completely changing it. So like they did for The Thing, which was an update of the 1950s one, obviously, for an 80s era, because there's lots of things in it that are to do with issues around then. What are our issues now that they could do something with that and transpose it? Because I like those kind of films.
Stretches the concept of a remake, though. I know it technically is, but I don't know.
What, The Thing?
Yeah.
That is a remake.
Yeah, but okay.
Of course it's
We
a
won't
remake.
get into it because we'll go around in circles for an hour.
I know it was originally based on a book, but it's still a remake.
Tying all the threads together, I think one thing that I'm kind of looking forward to is that Glen Powell, Edgar Wright Running Man.
Yes.
That's
Again, because it'll be totally different in tone to the Arnie version, won't it?
Yeah, I think that's quite good. And I know a lot of people keep harping on about Escape from New York. Oh, they don't need to remake Escape from New York. For me, that's one that I think could be quite good. Especially with what's happened geopolitically and what's going on and stuff. I think if it was more of a, keeping hold of that satire, keeping hold of that strongly, I think we could develop something quite good with that.
There's a clear concept for that, which they need to do, which is, obviously, there's his son, who is him, Kurt Russell's son, but also Escape from Earth was what they were originally going to do. So do that and have Old Man Snake Plissken.
Yeah.
So it's like Unforgiven or something. But you can
Legacy sequel.
You can have some flashbacks with his son, so that you don't have to do the rubbish de-aging or anything. So you've got the original Snake. So maybe it could open with a sequence that shows how they got to where they are now, where the whole Earth is ruined, and then go to Old Man Snake and how he's got to get off the planet.
That's really good.
Get that better filmed. Escape from Earth. It's just that's how you escalate a sequel, isn't it?
Why are we in charge? I mean, really,
I don't know.
It's really not that difficult.
It doesn't even, but it wouldn't have to be a big movie. You would do it mid-budget or low budget still, and just make a down and dirty action movie.
There's just too many.
See if it takes off.
So this is, I'm not pointing this at anyone specifically or anything that's happened or any emails that I've had or whatever, but I just think at the minute there seems to be there's like there's such a barrier to creating cool stuff, and it seems to lie at a legal level. Not necessarily legal, but there just seems a barrier to creating cool stuff.
I think that's always the case.
So stuff gets sanitized, stuff gets put through kind of a machine where it can kind of be just cut and dry, but then people see through it. So they're not bothered about going and seeing it. They're not bothered about going and watching it. You just have to look at steelbook covers that get put out or limited edition book covers that come out. It's like putting stuff out quick, putting stuff out for the sake of it. It doesn't really. There's not anything that kind of captures anything. It's just stuff, and I think there's a huge issue with that.
I think there's a level. If you had two sort of like bar graphs going up, right, and you had one was art, A-R-T, the other one was budget, and there's a point that those things can live in harmony, and when one of those, usually the money part, goes too high, it throws the whole fucking thing off. It's why mid-budget and low-budget films generally work better than when things balloon out, because as soon as it balloons out,
they've not got somebody hovering over it going,
correct. You get the lawyers and the producers and everyone that comes in is in a lot more invested and thinks they all have to have something to say, because we're really concerned now that this can't make $1 billion and get us our money back. But if we spend 20 million on this thing, all it needs to do is be good, and even if it shits the bed of the cinema, it'll make 20, 30 mil on home video, so that's fine.
I've got a classic example for you. The original Blade Runner, right? The theatrical cut of that was butchered because they were like, we need a happy ending. We need to explain what's going on more, so do a voiceover. And all this stuff, Ridley Scott was like, no. And Harrison Ford was like, no. So Harrison Ford on purpose did a terrible voiceover, but then they used it anyway. And the film was good enough to still get like a cult following. But then when they did the director's cut, everyone was like, holy shit, that is so good. And sometimes certain people, money people or people in suits, should just back the fuck off and let somebody do their job.
I would say that's almost all the time. There's a reason that you hired that person. There's a reason that you believed in the idea and the skill set of that filmmaker, of that artist, of that whatever. Why then do you stop trusting in that as soon as it gets to, I don't know, halfway through, 2/3 of the way through, even at the end of the thing, as with Blade Runner, and then took it off him and fucked it up? Why does this happen? It's a question for the ages.
It's like, who knows more about this? Who knows more about it? Is it the guy making the Star Trek film that's been, or the Star Wars film, or the whatever it may be, the Alien film, or whatever, Predator, anything? Is it the guy that's making it, that's been a lifelong fan of that thing, knows it inside out? Yes, he might have contrary views to other fans of it, but he knows it inside out. Or is it the lawyer that's never seen any of those films, doesn't care, but is looking at, oh, well, we know by demographics they tend to prefer this kind of thing. Yeah. It's like, that's where it becomes.
Well, you know what they say? Always side with the lawyers. That's what they say. Everyone loves a good lawyer. Eh?
I like my cousin Vinny. That's a good lawyer.
That's a hell of a pull.
Yeah.
You know what? I've never seen it.
Shit. Really?
Yeah. I haven't.
What?
Whoa. All right. So I'm going to watch
Unhinged. My cousin Vinny is one of the best. You will love it. It is one of the best, if not the best, courtroom comedy drama ever. Like, hands down. It's probably Joe Pesci's best movie, I think. It's absolutely incredible.
Even better than Home Alone?
Yes.
Whoa.
I love it because it's courtroom, and I love courtroom stuff. It's so good. The judge is Herman Munster, and he's just hilarious. It's such a good movie. You will love it, guaranteed. That's what we should talk about next week, even though it's completely old and obscure.
Did we talk about
The
when
Karate Kid is in prison. The Karate Kid is in prison, and he needs his cousin Vinny to get him out of prison. And he's not really a lawyer, and he comes to town, and he like gets him out of prison.
Yeah,
That's the story. It's
Spoilers.
okay.
Now I don't need to watch it.
Because you know he's going to get him out of prison.
Nah,
Actually,
didn't even know there was a lawyer in it.
okay, cool. Oh, yeah.
Honestly,
right.
it's a bit
Okay.
like Midnight. It's a bit like Midnight Run. It's one of those movies that's
Also
just
never
perfect.
seen
It's
that.
Oh,
That's
fuck
very
off.
good.
Never
Yeah.
seen
Perfect
Trading
movie.
Places.
Midnight.
Really?
Jesus Christ. Midnight Run is
discussed all
better than
these
Trading
before.
Places, but both are perfect. Midnight Run, I know you would love Midnight Run. It's perfect. That is
Yeah,
what
but
it's a
this is
perfect
this
movie.
is the thing. This is the thing that my mother and everyone that's known me has been dealing with my entire life. If you tell me to do something, I'm never going to do it. I'm broken.
Have I ever
all right?
steered you wrong? Whenever I say that, and you finally do watch the thing, you always go, "Oh yeah, you were right." Actually,
Yeah,
every
but
single
like
time.
you need to just like you don't because you're like exact. The problem is you're exactly like me. I'll just start screaming at someone and then shaking their head that they have to do this thing because I'm so passionate about it. But if someone does that to me, it just never works. One of the
You
know
watched
what,
Midnight Run, didn't you, James? Though
Yeah,
it's
you
a
made
good
me.
movie.
all right,
good.
Yeah, it was. It was really
on-air
good.
production meeting, right? Here's an idea for an episode. 1 week, the other two of us we each get a movie picked for us by the other two that we haven't seen and we refuse
Okay.
to watch, but we must watch. That's
You
an
must
idea.
watch. That's a
Okay.
good idea.
Forced into it.
There's got to be a
let's-
few I've not watched, but I have watched a lot of films.
Let's
Well,
watch
that's it. I
30-year-old
always think.
film by
I
Cousin
think I've
Vinny.
always watched a lot of films as well because I have watched a lot of films, but it's
Mm.
there's so many of them in the formative years that were like Razorback level or like from the cult section or like I'll just keep watching The Lost Boys all the time. I don't.
Well, you know when you rewatch the full time, so like we just finished Next Generation,
Mm.
all 7 seasons, and then a bit like Fraser on Channel 4, we've just gone straight back to episode 1 and we're watching it all again.
Yeah, hear the blues.
Kate goes, you know, like people who suffer from anxiety love to rewatch stuff that they've watched a lot because they know how it's going to go, and it feels
The
like
Office.
a nice warm hug. That's why I watched that. I just watched Star Trek Next Generation on repeat. I could be watching something new. I could be watching even new Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. I've not watched all that, but no, I'm going to watch Encounter at Farpoint, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Are you,
That's the end of that.
are you watching it? Are you sitting in front of the television without
Yeah,
your
I
phone?
do.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah,
that's a little bit psycho.
with breakfast. I just love it.
Mm. Well, if there
just
was a
love it.
warm hug of a show, it is definitely Next Gen because that it's a cozy spaceship that's got carpet. You know, can't do better than that. That was a decision. Do you reckon there was ever do you reckon there was some lawyer on that was like, we can't put burgundy and cream carpet in this naval fucking space vessel. What are you talking about? And then just some 90s absolute design genius overruled him. Come on.
Well, Gene Roddenberry wanted it that way because of the whole families thing, and he wanted it to be like, you know, a generational shit.
It's pretty.
The
It's
kids on
pretty
the ship.
sick.
It's cool because, like in the movies, it's much more militaristic, isn't it? The Enterprise,
Yeah.
and then since that, the new stuff like the 2009 and the new TV shows, it's just like all black, shiny metal.
Mhm.
They must have somebody buffing that stuff all the time because the floors are all reflective, and it's just like they're going to get fucked up all the time. It's like what I said to my mum and dad when they got black, shiny tiles in the kitchen. What are you doing? It's just going to be look like shit all the time, and every time I go around there, my mum's mopping the floor because
Plus
she's like, it looks like shit.
Plus, you slip on that shit, they're going to go
Yeah.
down. They're losing hips left, right, and center in the Ferguson household.
You see, you want a bit of comfort in space when you're like 5 light years away from home.
If you
Nice
tell
leather
if you tell
seats.
Papa Ferguson to do something, is he going to rebel against that? What do you
I've
think?
never been able to tell Papa Ferguson to ever do anything.
There you go. That's why he's got black shiny tiles.
No, he didn't want the black shiny tiles. It was my mum that wanted the black shiny tiles. I'm going to the cinema with Papa Ferguson this afternoon.
What are we watching?
We're going to go see
Apes.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, that starts with apes.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about that.
Really? In the cinema? Oh, that's cool.
In the cinema. Yeah.
Is that just like they're just chucking it on for the afternoon, or is it a
They did a Kubrick season, so they did all of the Kubrick movies, and they've ended with this.
I'd move
And
into
that was the one
cinema.
he wanted to see. I would have gone to see The Shining and Full Metal Jacket and Barry Lyndon and Clockwork Orange and all of them, to be honest, because I love them all. But I just 2001 because I've not got the time to go to the cinema.
There's something we can talk about, Matthew. I know you saw it. You twatted about it. Is it an Amazon or a Prime or one of the streaming services has edited the artwork for Full Metal Jacket, the famous poster of the helmet that has the peace sign and the born to kill scribbled on the side of it. They have photoshopped out Born to Kill because I'm assuming they think that is
not
threatening.
Happy. Well, there's talk that it might be some automatic thing that they've done because text that isn't the film title they think might confuse people, maybe, or something, because it's just a helmet and it doesn't say Full Metal Jacket, so people go, what's that movie Born to Kill? But I don't think so. I think it, like you say, it's maybe because it's like I can't fathom why they would do that.
It was an absolutely wild thing to see, and it really fucking pissed me off. Like you know what it was? I saw your tweet, and I was like, got the phone up and like started going, and I was like, no, I can't because I can't form how angry I am without like sounding like a psychopath. So I just left it and said nothing.
It's when they butcher anything like that. It's like a classic, perfect
it's one of the
movie poster.
Greatest images ever slapped on a white sheet of paper. Like it perfectly encapsulates what that film's about. The point
it's
of
like they'll do The Shining next, and they'll take the face out because they'll be like, that's not in the movie, and they'll put like Jack Nicholson's face in it or something, just a photo.
Right,
but it'll be a photo of him doing this from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, like that GIF.
Yeah. Those words, I detest those words. You can't do that. Why? Why can't we? Well, you can't include that. You can't have that on there. Why?
I would say that all three of us feel very strongly about that for different reasons, but it's why we get shit done, I think, because we fucking hate being told you can't do something.
And when I know that it's like the right thing to do for a poster, and then somebody says I can't, it doesn't happen as much as it used to. And people tend to listen to me more nowadays. But especially when you're dealing with a big brand, they have like certain sort of weird guidelines. And when I'm art directing other artists and I think that's a good idea, and then they say, oh, you can't do that, I'm like, why? Can you give me a good reason? Sometimes they give you a perfectly reasonable reason and you go, okay, fair enough, let's reconfigure. But a lot of the time it seems to be like on the fence. They're worried about legal stuff. I don't know.
But that stuff seems to like, they have a meeting and some peanut says like, oh, well, I don't really equate blue with this movie, even though he's probably colorblind and has never seen the film. But he said it. So then someone else in the room hears it and says it to someone else. And then it just becomes like this thing that they've, for some reason, but it never ever made sense in the first place.
You remember like Flight of the Conchords?
Yeah.
Too many dicks on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Too many dicks. That's what I'm saying is the best stuff, my best work, for example, and I think other people's best work is when it's like almost a singular vision. So like my Star Wars posters, Lucasfilm, they let me have not full creative control, but they let me kind of like come up with the concepts and then we work together on it. And it's the same like with anything. It's the same with like the movies. Like we're saying, it's like why great books, classic books, they're written by one person, and it's their thing, and they've done. It's like Dune. Nobody told Frank Herbert what to do. He was meant to write some news article about like a deserted town or something, and he ended up writing Dune instead because I don't know why he was mental. And then it turned out to be an amazing, but they didn't want to publish it. Nobody wanted to publish it to start off with. So,
yeah.
I guess that it would have been the same with like Tolkien with the Lord of the Rings and stuff. I bet people didn't want to publish that, and then they did, and it found an audience because it's good, but also it's when something's a singular vision. It's like the auteur theory, isn't it? People react to that because you feel like somebody's talking to you.
Maybe your genius will be recognised after your years, Matt. Hey, or you? Oh.
No, I'm just a hack. I just make stupid film posters. I'm talking about genuine good stuff that like lasts. It's always, I say always, nearly always one person.
I'd like to do one thing that lasts even more than 40 seconds.
I mean, look at that Jesus Christ guy. Say what you want about him. He was one dude. What he said has lasted a long time.
Or what people pretended that he said, at least.
They didn't like it, though, did it? The suits got rid of him pretty quick.
Yeah. We were talking about this. We were talking about this last night, me, Nat, and her sisters, when we were on about we should just start a cult. Life would just be so much easier if we started a cult. Those guys know what they're doing.
Until you've got to drink the Kool-Aid.
Oh, no, not that kind of cult.
Nah, I mean a cool cult.
You set your own rules.
They always end with everybody dying.
Oh, something terrible. I mean, you only have to look at these documentaries on Netflix and something always... No, just the first cult that's actually ran properly, as in you don't have to kill yourself, there's no Jesus stuff.
As long as you're the figurehead of said cult and you're in charge.
You get into that,
there's no dodgy, sexy stuff. It's just...
that's what I was hoping
That just comes in later because the power corrupts. So you start off with good intentions, but then all the people start flinging themselves at you and you go, well...
It's always the way. You got the charisma of Jerry Butler, but instead of becoming an actor, you decided to buy a farm, and then it all just goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
The problem is, I worry that nowadays I've got more the charisma of Jerry Seinfeld, which is the wrong Jerry.
Boom.
It's always sad when things that were awesome sort of slowly degrade over time.
He really needs to shut the fuck up because I really love Seinfeld, and he needs to stop talking and stop being weird with young women and shit. He's here at the moment.
Even when you've got Julia Louis-Dreyfus and the guy that Jason Alexander going, we do not know what that guy's on with. That he does not, they're not. He needs to shut the fuck up.
He's rich.
Well, anyway. I've got a call in 15 minutes, so should we wrap it up on that subject? There is a question from Rob Moen.
One last question.
Are there any commissioned posters or art that you've completed, or nearly completed, I guess, that have never seen the light of day?
Is there what? Sorry?
Any commissioned posters or art that you've completed that never saw the light of day?
Quite a few. Yeah, plenty.
Got one right here that could be printed and released
Not really
tomorrow.
allowed to talk about it. I did one for a TV show that I thought was really good, and they were just like, no, not a big TV show, relatively big TV show.
Yeah.
Just like, no. That. And I was like, well, I think that's a good idea. And they were like, no, we want you to do this. And I said, no. And we just parted ways.
Yeah.
I find those ones, sometimes it works out for the best. There's a reason that it all, like that'll usually happen because they don't know what they want or what they can have. So they've got something that would work for them, but they can't get their heads. It's the too many dicks thing. They can't. Yeah, get their heads around it and decide on anything, so they just end up with the shots of the actors.
They do.
Usually. All right. Well, on that note, business boys got to go do some business, and I don't know. The rest of us will
Thanks,
go over
everyone.
down.
Goodbye. We'll see you next week, where we're going to be talking about My Cousin Vinny.
And we're off.